What's up, everyone, and welcome down to another episode of The Vault. And I believe we're going to be violent today because yet another member of the legendary, now reformed thrash metal band Violence is with us. Perry Strickland, drummer. What's up, Perry Strickland?
How you doing, buddy?
How you doing? Good to have you in.
Good. Yeah.
I've had Phil for a couple of, he did a short one, and then Sean came in and basically gave us in depth, and that's what I'm going to expect from you.
Yeah.
So
I like
and
Sean.
everybody's going to expect that as well. So
I got to say, I think my favorite was Ted.
Ted was good.
Ted is just,
I love Ted.
he's awesome, man.
He's the greatest.
I always run into him with my family and stuff, and he's got his family, you know. And
Yeah, he lives right, or not too far. He lives.
I always see him in Hayward.
Yeah, that's where he lives.
Yeah,
so it's good to get all the. As the revolving wheel of Bay Area musicians go, I'm gonna bring them all in. I gotta corral them. You don't understand. To get musicians in here, it's like I have to literally call them and make them and go, okay, when are you coming in? And that's basically how I've been doing it, but it's been really successful. So you and I have a ton of history. So
man,
get ready, people, because
I
we
think
got
goes
some
back to
stories
what?
we're going to be going.
8th grade, maybe 9th grade.
Ninth
somewhere
grade,
around there,
I believe ninth grade, because we were all kind of, especially in this area where the vault is right now, it's kind of central to where we all kind of grew up.
Don't give the location away.
I won't. They don't know.
I mean,
They don't know.
But once it took the blindfold off when I got here, I was like, oh, man, I know this street.
We had to bring you up there, bring him down where the spider is, you know what I mean? Red Rum's like, who's that dude? You know what I mean? As long as I give him rats and food, it's all good. But it's kind of an incestual community that we grew up here in Dublin with, you know what I mean? And musically, it really, if you were to look at all of the other cities around us in the Bay Area that produced musicians that played, that were fortunate enough to play on a level, that we actually get to do, and people are very much aware of all of us all over around the world. I'd have to say per capita, Dublin was high on that list, and that goes against San Francisco and Berkeley and Richmond and El Sobrante and Fremont and
What's amazing is how we just kicked the door down.
I think that was the whole
and
attitude.
We walked right in.
It was the mentality.
And then
it wasn't like, can we have this? No, it was like, we're taking this.
And that goes back to Willie. Big Daddy Willie, man. I mean, he was
Willie,
the one who opened the door.
If it wasn't for Willie Lang,
rushed it.
If it wasn't for Willie Lang,
a lot of us,
none of us would have been exposed to the outside. Willie Lang from Laws Rocket, unfortunately, Willie passed away last year. Very suddenly, and it shocked the shit out of all of us. I mean, I'm still
they all do, but
that one especially for me, because it's all of us in Dublin, especially for me because of my history with Willie.
Well, you guys were more close to the same age. I think Phil and I and Eddie,
we're a few years
Eddie
behind.
Billy were a few years behind.
Right.
And they were always, you guys were the seniors and we were the freshmen.
Yeah, right. And that's a lot of time back then.
Yeah, that is a lot. Now it's nothing, right?
And this is the thing, is all the people that want to know, Dublin musicians that came from us, and I'm talking about the guys in Violence, Chuck Billy, myself, Troy Laketta from Tesla, and Willie Lang, all grew up in this town, and we all knew each other very well, and we all kind of ran with each other, and we live kind of far away from where the San Francisco Bay Area scene is. It's, if you want to drive in a car where the clubs were, it's 40 minutes or 30 minutes at least. For us, it
back
wasn't
then.
Right. Yeah,
that same 40 minutes is about 2 hours.
Well, now because everybody's moved to California,
right,
and bought homes,
and
and they turned into pterodactyls. But that's another story.
Before I moved to Dublin, I lived in Danville, and a couple of friends of mine. One of my close friends used to go to the record vault, out in the city, and this is when you still got 45s. So I think we were probably 8th grade, maybe, and he would drive out there and he'd come back with some 45s. I mean, the first time I heard Red Hot Chili Peppers was his 45. Real Men Don't Kill Coyotes.
Really?
Yeah, on a 45, and we were like, whoa, this is wild, right? And we're kind of digging on it because it was all funky, you know, and the only funky,
it's very punky,
yeah, right,
and raw,
and
very
the
raw.
only funk we got, you know, was War or, you know, Parliament funk, you know, grown up funk type of things, you know. It wasn't someone our age getting down like that.
Right.
And you're just like, ooh, wow, that made it even cooler, right? It was like watching, remember the first time you saw Def Leppard and you saw little Pete Willis up there, you know, and you know, the guitar was bigger than him, and the tunes were cool, but
Pat Travers, 79, Oakland Auditorium Arena.
But watching people your own age get down was probably the big turn on.
But
you
to
know,
me,
just
that's
man.
why I always looked at Def Leppard when I was in high school, because I was in high school from 78 to 82, and I remember buying like a circus.
That's a
magazine.
lie. That's
It's
a
the
lie.
truth.
No, I'm saying 78 to probably what, 83,
No.
84.
I didn't have to go to Valley High. Did you go to Valley?
I did, yeah.
I
And
graduated
they kicked
from
me
a
out of
regular
that.
high school, and all my friends had to go. That's a continuation high school. Anyway, Def Leppard, I looked in the magazines and I was like, wow, look at the drummer. He's 16. You know,
Right.
when On Through the Night came out, he was 16. And I don't think anybody was older than 19 or 20. And I was
Right.
so enamored by that, because here's
You're
these
even
kids.
jealous a little bit. You're like, man, I
Of
want
course you're
that
jealous.
so bad.
Why fucking Rick Allen's not even out of school and he's on a world tour.
Right.
If you were going to tell me at 16 years old that I get to go on a fucking world tour on supporting my album, I'd have been, okay, where do I sign right now?
Well, I mean, let's face it, that's why they do sign a lot of young bands, because they know they just dangle a bus. And
But back then
you know,
it wasn't like that.
Right.
They were the end of that before
Right.
our wave came in and was like, oh, okay, we'll give you nothing. You'll get nothing, but you'll put
And
a
you'll
record
like
on the
it.
tour. Exactly.
And you'll like
Oh,
it.
remember like you mean your peers that all were rock stars and rich? Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
not
we
for you.
figured out a way that you guys, we could still make you rock stars, but not make you rich.
right.
So I
No
got to
soup
ride
for you.
that wave.
no soup for you.
No, nothing. No do for you. You get nothing. Hey, can I have one? No more. One bowl.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it was. So getting back to Willie introduced us to the other side of the hill. Basically, we were these kids that grew up and only knew our community. We didn't
Right, because there was Rampage, right? So that
Right.
was
Well-
Chuck, Willie, I think Steve, right?
No, it was Chuck, Willie, Ernie, Andy, and Greg Bustamante.
That's right. Yeah.
And so we didn't know that there's all these killer bands in San Francisco and Berkeley. So one of the guys, which was Willie Lang, who had played in a band in Dublin called Rampage, kind of left Rampage and went and found a band of three guys he didn't even know.
Right.
And they were called Diamond. And
That's
remember
right.
before
Danny
Lost-
Gillis?
Danny Gill.
Yeah.
Danny
And
Gill,
your brother
Rick
played with
Rad-
them,
no,
right?
No, it was Danny Gill. Rick Ratto was the singer. Mike Galena on drums, and Willie played. He jumped to bass, and they were managed by the same guy who also managed Law's Rocket. So that's how that came. But to get to what was Perry was saying, we were not introduced to what was really going on in the scene until Willie had ventured out over the hill. And, then we all kind of followed and were like, whoa.
Well, I can remember his first show. I remember seeing his first two shows. I can't remember which was first. I think it might have
When
been.
we almost beat off Bailoff?
No, I remember.
Remember that?
I do. Yeah, because
God, we were
my
clowns.
first meeting of Paul, because Paul, it was at Ruthie's. It was that little side yard where the bands come in and out, and
It was Lost Rocket.
It was
Moments.
you?
No, it wasn't.
no, I think you were there, but I was with Chuck and Jimmy Christensen, right? And Paul comes wandering up and he's like, I don't know about that new bass player, man. I like Dave Starr a little better. And I don't think he realized that, the three worst people to ever say that to would have been us three, right? Because Willie was our boy. And so I remember Jimmy and Chuck talking to each other like, hey, Jimmy goes down and goes, Perry, put Paul in the dumpster. So first I had to grab Paul Bailoff, pick him up, and I threw him in the dumpster. And that was, as me, I was the youngest of that. I did what they told me to do.
All I remember is we went to Michael Kuhn's house later that night for a party.
With all the Metallica guys, right?
Everybody was there,
right?
Everybody was there. And I remember Bailoff telling Willie, why do your friends want to beat me up? Because remember Chuck had the sword?
Well, that was
Remember the sword? And he's like, we didn't even know who he was. Really.
No,
we didn't know he was a singer in Exodus. We didn't know who this guy was. He just made a snide comment, but I wasn't even there for that. I mean, I was just like, once I found out later at the party, I'm all on. What? He said, what? Who is this guy? Fuck
he didn't really say anything bad.
I know, exactly. But we were dicks. We were dicks. Dublin guys were saying, Dublin Death Patrol was a band, but it came from the guys who supported all of us and who would go out and not get in the pit and be cool, get in the pit and be total dicks. You know what I mean? Pushing people, hitting people. I mean,
there was some about that.
Who did we think we were? Oh my God. Care. I apologize for anybody who I ever had a problem previously to. Now that I'm
I spent so much time apologizing, but I'm getting kind of tired of it.
You get you can say, all you can do is go, because remember Zetro, you were totally wasted and totally busy. Well, all I can do is apologize for that moment.
Rob, who played bass with us in F-Bomb, I'll see him and I love Rob. I'll just get the verbal tongue lashing from him about, you and Steve were such dicks and blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, but you never quit the band, did you? You always, couldn't have been that bad.
So, that going out to the clubs, like to the that's your first introduction into the Bay Area scene, kind of like it was for all of us.
Absolutely.
And we knew you were playing drums, before because Chuck and I took your drum set from you one time.
My mom bought me a drum set and never made any payments. So,
yeah. And somehow I had this Pinto wagon, and Chuck called me up one day and said, Zetro, I need somewhere to help me carry Cardi. He goes, I'll pay you to do this. I go, okay. So we went to a bunch of different houses, and then all of a sudden he pulls one out and it had your address on it. Had your mom's name there.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, well, Fagey. And so we pull up. I was like, hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Perry?
I remember that. I remember just looking at Chuck, and he goes, look, let's just not make this ugly. I got it. I'm like, yeah, all right. So, and I threw it out of the attic, right? So it's all broken.
I know. Anyway, so when did you start playing drum? When did you have your,
probably, like really playing, probably 6th grade, right around there, jazz band, orchestra, all that stuff.
Did you take lessons?
Off and on, different people, a guy named...
So nothing really solid where you went every week and, did a lesson?
I wasn't mentally built for that,
That's some people aren't.
I just wasn't. I mean, I would go and the guy would like, okay, did you work on this stuff I showed you last week? And I was like, no.
Yeah, right. No. Exactly.
I was too busy playing the Cheap Trick songs,
Right,
exactly. I just wanted to play,
So what drove you to I mean, like, was it every other Dublin person? It was in the water, or do you think it was just because you started playing when you lived in Danville before you even moved to Dublin?
I think a lot of people in my family are all been into music. My Uncle John played drums, still very big musician, and a artist, Indian artist, does all that stuff. My sister is probably been voted 3 or 4 times in a row best female bass player in all of Denver for all the blues she does. She was married to this cat, Patrick, who played bass for Ricky Nelson. So she grew up doing, as she got older, doing all kinds of that. Always, I think it's just always been there. My dad's friends were all musicians, and
so then there was music in the house from
always.
The get-go.
I mean,
was it 50s kind of rock? Was it 60s? Was it everything?
I
Did
think
you
my
hear
dad
Black Sabbath from your friends?
Yeah,
from your
actually,
parents?
I can remember Black Sabbath. I remember when my dad's friends just busting out, the album like, hey, you've got to hear this. And I don't even know how old I was. I know I was a little kid. pretty young, I mean, long before moving to Dublin and all that, But they listened from Santana, War, to Led Zeppelin, to...
Wow. So you had a house like mine. My dad was the same. My dad was a biker. We've talked about that many times. I listened to Zeppelin, Allman Brothers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, everything, right?
Anything Jimmy, Janis,
I think
any of that stuff,
the music
Airplane.
pool was a lot smaller.
Oh, it definitely was. There wasn't subgenres of rock. There was just rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everything. I mean...
Everything, right.
When I was in Danville, we used to... I don't know if you remember KFRC, right? You remember Dr. Don Rosenberg?
Talked about that with Steve Smythe yesterday. That's funny that you said
that. My best friend in 8th grade was John Rosenberg. And Dr. Don...
Jay Rosenberg.
No, John Rosenberg. He's the youngest brother. His dad was Dr. Don, Rose. So
the biggest DJ in the Bay Area. In the
right.
70s.
And so we used to have to take a bus to school. And on the bus, we'd listen to his dad all day,
Right, because he was the morning guy.
Yeah.
He was the first guy that I ever heard that used like sound effects and stuff.
Right.
And everything was like, that's right.
The little pops and stuff.
He
was a really cool dude. He had, he's one of those guys, lived up on the hill, like I lived a block away from him. And he had a studio in his house and all that. And so that was kind of one of my introductions right there is John being the youngest brother. His older brothers all managed bands like Rockbound and
remember Rockbound,
right? Now that's the weird coincidence, right? So John's older brother was managing
too, right?
Rock Island then Rockbound. He did all the he managed
the bands with that guy Jay Rosenberg one time.
Okay,
yeah, he was the older brother, I think.
The thing was, I had no idea, kind of the connection that would happen later on. I just, at that point I'm in 8th grade maybe, so I'm just hanging out backstage, just kind of wow. It's pretty cool, and watching all different.
So was the scene in Danville opposed to the scene in Dublin? How was that? I mean, because I
don't know if there was a scene. I mean, this was just, this was like they would throw concerts at the high school,
Well, I remember that.
That's when you would get to see all the bands. I don't remember.
There was a band called Moon back in the day.
I don't remember them I was in 8th grade, so we didn't go to clubs, you couldn't.
No, I know
but
that.
There was one out there.
The Stage was in Danville.
Yes.
The Stage.
Yeah.
That's where Rampage played. That's the only club they played because, again, going back to we didn't know who was out over the hill. It took Willie Lang to go venture out for the rest of us to follow. That's why
then we kicked that door in and
we kicked that door down. And look at like I said, look at how many of us have been able to do this on this level, and that would have not been possible had we not kicked that fucking door down. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think, God, man, we just went in and just had a blast.
Now, remember, I don't know if this was your first band. I remember Warlock.
Yeah.
And you guys played it very close here to the vault.
Paul Sanchez's
house.
Yeah.
And I think you played the same song.
No, we played the whole set twice.
Oh, that's right. It was the set played twice. But there wasn't
you only had like a half hour,
but there was like 4 songs or something.
6 maybe.
Yeah, and then but that was the first time.
And then I think we played. I think because Eddie Billy, who played bass, Chuck's little brother, he's really the one who got me into metal because I didn't listen to metal before, other than Rush, And I remember I think we had one Exciter song. I think "Cry of the Banshee," obviously, because the whole Indian thing. So I think it came in with that.
I remember that was you. Troy Fua, Ben Moon, and was it Filthy on guitar at that point?
I think it was, no, it was Jerry.
Oh, Jerry was the singer.
Or no, Jerry.
No, Jerry was the guitar player.
Yeah,
Jerry
guitar
Burr,
player.
who was the first singer for Violence that you guys don't know about.
Right.
But I'd like to get him in here sometime. That would be
Got to get him out here.
I know. Minnesota's still, right?
Yeah.
First singer. I know every time I'm on tour, he kind of pops in.
Nice.
And stuff like that. So
yeah, he's still doing metal a lot.
That's good.
Enemy X.
So now we're probably in 81, right? 81, 82, like that. And you guys are
9th, 10th grade.
Yeah. And you guys are Warlock. How long did that go for, Perry? Not too long, though, because you kind of transitioned into Violence from there, right?
Yeah, I think we transitioned into Death Penalty.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Worked at from there, and I think Jets.
'Cause
Bill
Violence
came
really
in and Jerry became, because if I remember, I don't know if Troy. I can't remember the exact order, because smoked a lot of pot back then, and
Still smoking.
and because I remember I have pictures from playing, and that's probably '83, so it might be a little further.
Yeah, it had to be 83.
At Valley High, and
Yes.
that was me, Ed, Ben Moon,
Right.
Phil, and Jared
And Jerry on guitar.
on guitar. Yeah, so that would have
Right.
been probably Death Penalty. That was Warlock, actually. That was Warlock.
That was Warlock, right?
Yeah.
And
Because
then
we had our bowling. Ben and I had like our cool guy bowling, looked like bowling shirts, something like 2.5 Men are wearing, but it had our name on it. Remember,
Oh, really?
like if you'd embroidered your name on it,
you were
probably wore that shirt like twice a week. Like it's my
Gosh.
shirt, man. Have my puka shell. It's like,
your puka shells.
You remember though?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
I bet your 8th grade photo had puka shells in it.
Hell yeah.
7th grade,
Plastic comb.
Damn right. And
Had
you
your
kept it
hush
in back
puppies.
pocket?
Remember your hush puppies?
Oh, I had Colorado hikers.
Oh yeah.
Remember the Colorado hikers?
We used to call them desert boots, right?
So yeah, Chugaboo or desert boots. Yeah, I remember that. So we're in about 83. How you guys didn't play much with Warlock though, did you?
No, I think we're just jamming. Just
Play the
messing
party.
around. Yeah.
When did you guys finally go? Because it was 86 was the demo for Violence, wasn't it?
Yeah, so probably 85.
84, 85. Because
Yeah.
I know I joined Legacy, and there was some stuff that Phil. I remember we went to Pomona in L.A. and Phil was with us on that, and he was talking about putting you guys together. Talk about putting Violence together.
Well, I think we played a lot of covers. We played a lot of our own stuff, and we just kind of worked on that.
What were the first songs that you still that made it on there? I know Gutter Slut was one of them.
Yeah. Gutter Slut was a song that I wrote. It was probably the only song that I wrote.
You mean lyrically?
Lyrically, yeah. Yeah, I didn't write it musically. And, I'm going to be real honest. I wrote that. I sat down because back then you wrote lyrics by default, right? Because nobody knew how to write songs really. And
I wrote Ruthless. I wrote anything that sounded mean and ruthless.
And obviously, if you listen to Gutter Slut, it's like, how vulgar can I be, right?
Right.
So
That was the thing. How far can I tip the boat?
But I remember, I was like, so how am I going to do this? And I'm like, got to be productive, right? Got to try and push that envelope, as a young person trying to, without any clue. So I think I had picked a random Venom song, right? And I was like, okay, here's the chorus, here's the bridge, here's the verse. And I just filled in my own lyrics, right, to one of those songs. And I don't remember what song it was, but I used it as a template,
It was
right?
your template.
Yeah, and then that's when I started getting into structures about, chorus, bridge, chorus, verse, intro, and all that type of stuff. So it kind of took from there. Just like everybody else, I think everybody else probably somewhat did the same
As
thing.
a lyric writer, I just in the beginning went for what I knew.
Right.
And what sounded good to me. And a lot of it was of how the syllable matched the music and along with it, like Alone in the Dark.
Right.
When I heard the music, Alex was going wah 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 wah
Right.
wah wah. So all I did was put the vocal to that
melody to the
melody
verse. Right.
and the Alone in the Dark. It matched those symbols, those syllables.
Right.
It matched those with 6 syllables or whatever, and that's why I went with that. And then I just wrote the song around
Right.
that. You know what I mean? So now I think I'm a little bit more focused on when I'm writing, and there's a little bit more of a
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, so when you first write, everything is just straight down the line almost. I mean, and then by the second or the third record, let's say, or your 10th or 12th or 15th song, that's when you really start like, okay, I got to do something different. It's okay to approach it a different way, you
Sure.
know, and all that. Once you break from your cookie cutter
Well,
formula
it's called
that you start
following
with,
the bouncing ball. You know what I mean?
right,
So
right.
you have, obviously you have to find your own knack. You have to find what fits you. Obviously, is that the only thing you wrote lyrically for Violence ever?
Probably some here and there, but Sean pretty much took over.
Yeah, right.
And Sean's lyrics were always so much. I mean, Phil wrote some lyrics. We all did.
Well, right,
I think.
obviously in the beginning,
Yeah,
and Jerry was a singer.
I remember Jerry writing a song one time, and it was like 2 pages of this. I was like, this is a book,
Right?
You can't make a song out of a book, but part of the whole.
Sean learned to,
right?
Because they're books. Hey,
there's
you only have to play drums on them.
Yeah.
I had to fucking learn 2 of them last year, and I was like, holy shit.
He packs a lot in there.
I mean, and he'll speed up and slow down and then change this, and on the phrasing, it's never
right.
There's a lot of dynamics going on in there, and it's that's why people are who they are and they do what they do, because that's what he is. You know what I mean?
And I think part of that also is I don't think he had anything set. He just went in there completely open-minded, fresh. He had never.
Well, he didn't, because
never been in a band.
All of us were working at fucking ASI, if you remember.
Right. I remember you guys did.
And he was there as just working with us, and I knew he had played bass, and Jerry had quit. That was over with. He was moving or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And we were at lunch or at break, and Sean's all, I'll do it. We're like, what? You want to do it? Yeah, I'll do it. I can do it. It's like, that was back in then. How hard could it be to be a thrash metal singer, right? You know what I mean? Try to sing some of his shit. So, he stepped in, and his lyrical content and his hooks and his phrasing and his very, I don't know, metaphorically balanced shit is really unique in its own way. I mean,
when it comes to Sean was just so fresh at what he did, because I don't think Sean had any. You can do this. You shouldn't do this. This is what.
No, there was no pollutants in his hair.
Exactly.
It was open for him.
Right.
There was nobody coaching him going, okay, check it out. Now you're going to be the singer. There's usually one guy in the band that goes, okay, well, you're coming into our band, and since you're the new, this is how it's going to, and you kind of do it like that. Everybody just let him go. And that was the best thing, because I'll say, honestly.
Back then, that's, I think even probably for Legacy as well, and all the bands. I mean, that's what you did. And that's the beauty of being a young musician a lot of times, is that you can have a strong personality, but not be overbearing, because, at that point in your life when you're young, it's about just trying to just do your own stuff, right? And it's like, right now I'm just going to worry about the drums, because basically it's all I can do.
Right.
So you worry about the guitar, you write the lyrics.
Right. And that's how it was for me in Legacy. It was like, okay, here's the music set. Here you go. It wasn't even thought, well, check it out. I wrote these really cool lyrics. It's like, I got that. You know what I mean? Kind of being the singer. That's my job. I'm going to sing these words. I'm going to know them. I'm going to need to learn how to be a good writer if I'm going to be a good singer, and that kind of goes hand in hand. And I think that goes with anybody as a player too. Like you said, I'm going to worry about being a guitar player. I'm just going to worry about playing drums, because this is what I do.
Right.
And I want to be the
And I
best.
couldn't sing. And I sure as heck couldn't write lyrics for the damn.
Drums.
So it's like, all right, so I don't need to worry about that.
How do we? Well, I don't know. Gutter Slut's pretty fucking good. Pretty, straight to the point. So that's all Perry Strickland, mind you. But I get that.
And it was the first song to go on the Eastern Front. So
yeah, that's right.
The first song ever Violence put on vinyl was.
Yeah, that's right. Huh?
Was that?
Yeah.
So, but as far as Phil came up with a lot of the riffs, but. We did spend a lot of time together working on that. When we structured the songs and all that, we worked a lot at his house, my mom's house. I think Phobophobia got finished in Mike Smario's basement in Castro Valley.
Really?
Yeah, at his dad's house, right? Because back then we didn't really have big studios.
No.
You kind of just practiced.
There was no computer, no internet, so there's no Pro Tools.
And I think I think the first time we went to a Legacy, because I remember you guys you were one of the first ones that practiced in a big studio out in Oakland.
Yeah, we were in Clay Street, and it was a room, like, I don't know what if it was an apartment or something. It was right on Clay Street in Oakland, and it was 5 or 6 studios in rooms that were set up to be studios. You know, everybody else just like, oh, let's move into the storage place, or let's play.
That's what we did.
Right. It was
$100.
Right. It's exactly.
And we had trouble paying that.
Yeah. And then you got in there and you said, because it was, and that was the thing.
That's right. You put up carpet, smelled like bong water and cat piss. And that was your soundproofing. And
it was hot as fuck. You have to open the door and the fucking.
All we ever had, right, is you had your 2 lights, right? So it was total, just oversaturated with plugs and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you had this extension, right, for the light, and all the plugs ran into it, you know? And we ran everything out of that. The PA, the fan, it
everything.
Didn't matter.
Yes.
But, what do you do? So
that's what you have to do. Yeah. That's what we did back. Now it's very much more. There's day studios you can go rent for a couple of days if you want. They'll even provide you with a PA and gear. You know what I mean? We
have all ours.
But I mean, you can if you want to put a band together. That wasn't there. If you wanted to be a singer, and the thing was to be a singer, you had to buy a PA. If you had a PA, you're the singer.
But a PA was cheap compared to everybody else's stuff.
My first PA was like $1,200. That was in 83 or 84. That was a lot of money to me back then.
That is a lot of money.
So it was like I had to have a mic.
And you're right. You had to buy it new. It was very hard to find used stuff. Like nowadays, you go on the internet, you're like, wow,
anywhere.
I can get a $5,000 PA for $1,100.
Exactly, but
that's the upside of meth and stealing.
Exactly.
I didn't steal it. I'm just going to buy it real cheap.
Or the upside of everybody watching American Idol and I want to be a rock star, and then after about a year, they figured out this is not for me, and I just want to sell it all. And
I've been doing that. I'm on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, because I do the same thing. As I go through all that, and I'll find you could just tell this guy bought a drum set, thought he was going to learn to play it. It sat in his garage for 12 years, and now he wants to get. And I'll be like, I don't need your drum set, but I'll give you $100 for all them Zelgin cymbals.
Right.
And I've got like a closet full of cymbals that are all used. Steph is like, you gonna. Why are you buying cymbals?
You can never have too many cymbals. You can never have too many cymbals.
Same reason I got 5 motorcycles,
Exactly.
You need 5? It's like, no, but
you don't.
I got them. Because I like them.
I do like them, though.
I like all my stuff.
I like stuff, too. I'm a stuff guy. I like that. I like stuff. I like toys. I like stuff. I still have never grown up, so.
It's amazing now. It's like, I have a studio in my side yard for all my stuff. My own little studio, and I still have a drum set in the living room, which is where we got together at first. It's like, you guys just come over to my house because
we'll jam here.
Yeah, this way I don't have to move my stuff, which is really what it came down to, And I got the pool and the hot tub and the patio, so we could just kind of chill and hang out. I have a couple electric drum sets, so I got like 2 massive PAs.
Cool.
So I have all that, and so Sean just had to bring a microphone.
Right.
Didn't have to move everything.
I don't have a PA either. We just kind of play wherever we go.
Right.
Well, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't really need one for what we do. I have a very expensive wireless microphone, though. But
Sean doesn't travel anywhere without his microphone. He will not.
Well, actually,
he does not want to deal with someone else's breath on.
I'm going to go to South America next week with Exodus, and I won't bring mine there. But I have the tech writer that's already went out for what I want, and they'll send me. It's all clean and stuff.
Much different now, right?
Oh yeah. Now, Sean's just come into the band because Jerry had left. Talk about Rob joining in the band and Troy leaving the band, because it wasn't much time longer after that, was it?
Probably not. As far as
I don't remember. It was
Phil is always the one. Phil's got it down to dates.
Yeah, I know.
And you don't even have to think about it. The guy's got a memory like a steel trap. Me, I'm like, it wasn't important.
Right. It didn't register.
Ben Moon and I had played in Annihilation, which was Deep Freeze, and those guys were from Fremont.
Right.
Right. So we had started venturing out that way with all those Fremont guys. Now, those Fremont guys...
Yeah, because Annihilation and Forbidden Evil practiced in the same
Right,
complex.
right. Now, they had a similar situation that we did in Dublin, where they had a whole network of friends, high school guys, Paul Bostaff came from Fremont.
Right.
I remember watching him in another band long before he joined Forbidden, because Jim Pittman was the original drummer for Forbidden. And anyway, we would go over there. We all had studios. I think at one point Violence did at the Annihilation studio with Pat. And so Forbidden used to practice in the storage unit right around the corner. And so naturally we would all smoke some pot and trip around, and everybody would visit everybody. And Rob didn't have anything. The band, we're all young, so a lot of us didn't have a whole lot, to begin with. But Rob had his guitar, a chord, an overdrive pedal, and played the PA. And he just would crush it. And I just remember watching this guy crush it, and he had nothing. And I just thought, wow, man, give this guy, if this guy was in my band, because back then, just like, it wasn't our band, it was my band. And I just remember, at that point, I don't know if Troy and I were really getting along real well.
Was it a personality thing with Troy? Was it he just wasn't really into it anymore?
I don't,
it started with me and Phil.
Right, I don't remember
that band that Phil and I were doing, and that's kind of when I went to Legacy. He kind of stayed with Phil, and that kind of was the inception of Violence, kind of a little bit.
Yeah, Troy jammed with a lot of people. He was one of those guys that, like with Phil, was always playing guitar. In the quad at
Phil
school.
He could play. He could play lead.
And I don't remember exactly how it went down, other than I just wanted I wanted the band to progress. Sean had been in the band, and all of a sudden a light switch went on, like, okay, this is going to go to another level. And now we have a singer that actually can write really good lyrics, right? And so I thought that door was just going to swing wide open, and I really liked everything Rob was doing. And so my thing was like, I got it. That will complete the puzzle. At least in my head, and I brought that to Phil's attention, and I think Sean and everybody else, but I kind of pushed that, and I don't think it was, I don't think it was anything personal wise, other than Rob was just that extra oomph that I thought was good for the band, and that was it. I don't think it was personality wise or anything like that.
Had you guys ever hung out with Rob before, other than hanging out at the studio after smoking a joint?
Mostly I hung out with Craig,
right.
And I'd pick, Jerry and I would pick Craig up and we'd go to the studio, or I'd hang out with Russ. So no, but to be dead honest, I thought with Phil and all the stuff we had, Rob was in my mind, I just thought Rob was that fit. And I thought with Sean writing the way he did, if we had two guitar players that wrote, like if someone could write as much as Phil wrote, because it was coming to terms with the fact that, okay, well, this could happen. And we did have some record label interest. Or,
what year are we in now, Perry?
Probably 85?
We're in 85. We're not even in 86 yet, right?
We're getting close. We're close.
We in 86?
Yeah, it all bleeds together for me. It's like one big long year. So, and I just remember, okay, well, we're going to have to write more songs. And I'm thinking, wow, it took us 3 years to write these 7 or 8, right? I'm like, they're going to give us 3 years so we better,
it was back in the day of every year and a half you put a record out, so you better keep writing songs.
Right. And so that was kind of my mindset. If two guys were writing music and Sean was writing the lyrics, we'd be okay. And that, of course, once I talked to Rob and you know, I really blew it up. Like, Rob, man, we got label interest, and Filthy's got an extra half stack that you can use, and he's got 3 guitars. You might even be able to borrow one. And Rob's just like, my own half stack, you know?
Oh,
my
really?
God. You know, he wasn't going to give it to him, but I mean, he could play to it, right? And
Wow.
And so a little bribery, you know, and all that. And
you were patting it. You were patting.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
If you come here,
right,
this candy bar can be.
And I think
big.
the guys in Forbidden at that time were like, come on, man. You know, they were pushing him to get his shit together, you know, and you got to get some equipment and all this. And then I just I walked with all this good vibe. Well, hey, here's the magic pixie dust right here, man. You come on over here. And that was that.
Wow.
Yeah. He was sold, and, you know, that was it.
So now, is he a contributing writer as well? Because I know Phil is definitely writing most of the riffs. Sean is definitely writing every bit of the lyrics. Yeah. And so when Rob comes in, is he an equal contributor, or are you looking for him more as a player in his attack?
All the above. Right? You know, I mean, the first album pretty much is all Phil.
Did he write anything on it? Did he write anything?
I think Calling in the Corner was the same as Chalice of Blood, I think, or something like that. Or they might be pretty close.
I sang it at the Sean Killian event. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and I could be wrong. I could be, you know, Phil's the one who always.
Well, I'll get him in here for a whole day event one time.
He'll be like, no, that happened in January. It was a sunny day. It was the third Sunday of the month. Exactly. Me, I'm like,
My dad ordered pizza at 5:00. We watched the Niner game.
He's got an amazing memory.
I know.
Yeah. Me, I'm lucky if I remember the songs.
No, I'm pretty good with memory too. I recall a lot of
when
stuff.
I want.
You know.
Yeah, right.
The things I want to remember, exactly. The lyrics I have to remember, obviously.
Right.
So that kind of stuff, like people I don't want to remember. Who are you? When was this?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry if I offended you at any point in time. Who knows?
Yeah.
It was. Now you did the first demo came out in '86 as well, right?
Yeah, and Troy was on the first demo.
He was on the first
demo. That was
demo.
at Katati. You know, everybody went to Katati.
Yeah,
right?
well, that's
Bonded by Blood was recorded at Katati.
Legacy did the Legacy demo,
right?
There, so everybody followed suit.
And it was a cool place,
right?
right?
Sure.
It had a little
some
video games, a couple houses that you could just stay in that were across the street. It was far away from everybody.
Exactly.
And so you can kind of concentrate on it, and it was cool.
It was.
Yeah, it was a good great experience, man.
Did you do a demo with Rob Perry?
I believe we did, yeah.
Because I remember the one with Troy. I don't remember if you did a second demo or not.
I think we had to do one, you know, because when you're doing the record stuff, you know, you're always doing demos for them, and so I'm sure we did.
So talk about the scene. Now it's '86. Sean and Rob are in the band. This is Violence. This is Sean, Dean, Perry, Phil,
and this is where it just kicks in really beautifully, right? And